Hello, everyone. Welcome on this beautiful May evening to DCSD Parent University. My name is Stacy, and I work in the communications department for the Douglas County School District, and I'll be introducing our guests this evening. I first want to thank our partners at Sky Ridge Medical Center, who have made the DCSD Parent University program possible throughout this entire school year, and we're so grateful for their partnership. Tonight, we'll be hearing from Elizabeth Kevil, a board-certified clinical specialist in orthopedic physical therapy, and Monica Kane, a registered dietitian at Sky Ridge Medical Center. And they'll be discussing ways to add activity into your family's daily routine, the importance of being active outdoors, family-friendly meals and snacks, and more. We'll be having a Q&A at the end of the presentation, so hang on to your questions until then. And without further ado, Elizabeth, I'm going to hand it off to you.
Hello all, I'm so glad you are joining us tonight. This is a topic that I love to talk about, so thanks for the opportunity to speak with you about fitness and wellness. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, so give me a moment. So in general, a family who plays together stays together. So this is my family, and they're my motivation for wanting to play and enjoy and be active and work out. And I hope that your family is your motivation as well. Most of us want to be healthy. Many people don't know where to start. And so tonight we're going to give you a little bit of that information. So there are a lot of benefits to exercising together as a family, including family bonding, building teamwork, and health and wellness. And it starts as a family, and the activities that you do as a family can be passed down for generations. So it's never too late to start. So why do we exercise? There's a list here of many things. Most of us know that exercise is important. I think that exercise is the magic pill. I think it's something that really does a lot for our bodies and is underutilized and underappreciated. So as you can see here, improving our sleep, increasing our activity levels, and even increasing our longevity. So why do we exercise? Well, another part of this is body image, improves our concentration, improves our relationship. The list goes on. And so I hope I don't have to convince you that there are a lot of benefits to exercise. The CDC says that people that are active for 7 hours a week are 40% less likely to die early. But unfortunately, fewer than 5% of adults in the US engage in 30 minutes of activity per day. So it's a concerning number, and things that I think we're here to talk about tonight. Many of us don't understand that there are a lot of mental health benefits to exercise as well. Through the pandemic, there's been a lot of conversation about mental health for our adults and our youth. Exercise is one of those things that when people get outside, enjoying their family, enjoying the sunshine, exercising, getting their heart rate up, it actually decreases depression and increases well-being. It also improves our wellness. People that exercise have a lighter and have less risk of illness. They have higher vitamin D levels. And even in the COVID pandemic, people that are exercisers tended to have less severe illness. So again, really good reasons to decide to exercise. Unfortunately, during the pandemic, most of us have had to stay home. I'm with you. I'm a mom of two teenage kids. I work full time, but during some of this, I was at home as well. The kids were at home doing online classes. We were encouraged to not get out in groups, so that made exercise very difficult. Some of the studies are showing that 54% of children aged 5 to 8 and 66% of children ages 9 to 13 exercise significantly less during the pandemic. And so in a society that sometimes values exercise and sometimes doesn't, this is important for us to know that we've got to get our kids moving. How do we start? Well, creating a family culture of activity. I think it starts with the adults. When the kids see that the adults are active, that we're getting off of our phones, that we're walking and exercising, kids want to do that. They love to play. They love to participate in family activities and do games. So if they see their parents wanting to do that, and they see adults and grandparents getting active, you're setting up a culture. My father was a recreation and leisure studies. That's an actual thing. It's a degree. He was a college professor for that. So as I grew up, my family was always out golfing and fishing and hiking and camping. And I just grew up with that culture. And I can't imagine not having that with my kids. but I talked to some of my other friends that didn't grow up in a family that valued activity and exercise and getting outside, and they had a very sedentary life, lots of reading, lots of computer. There's nothing wrong with that, but that does set us up for some issues later in life by maybe not having quite the same value for exercise and fitness. So planning outings, vacations, adventures, all kinds of fun things that you can do in our beautiful state of Colorado is important to get your kids moving. So here are some strategies to increase activity. Turning off the screens, and this isn't just kids screen, this is adult screens as well. So just unplugging, getting outside, and blocking time to be together as a family. So be creative and find things that your kids enjoy doing. In terms of exercise as a soft consequence, my kids, when they were younger, I have 2 active boys, they're 2 years apart in age. And of course, kids will fight. They'll, be a little bit less well-behaved as we'd like them to be. And rather than sitting them in a chair in a corner of a timeout, we did push-ups, we did sit-ups, we did jumping jacks. We created activities that were soft, there wasn't a very big punishment, but they knew that if they hit or if they threw something at each other in the car, that they would have to do some push-ups or sit-ups. And I've got kids that are quite good at doing those things. And it worked for my kids. It may not work for yours, but something to think about of ways to just blend activity into your life. And I would never want kids to think about exercise as a punishment. So we made a game out of it, and they knew it was all out of love and for fun. But knowing your kids, some kids really do well with being pushed or challenged. Other kids need a little bit more soft hand with things. So where do we begin? I always say start light and increase gradually. You don't want your kids to have a bad experience with activity, that they get too tired or they don't have the fun that they'd like to have. Adults, if you're starting this with your kids, make sure that you're healthy enough to exercise or get guidance from your physician. But always include some stretching, never push into the point of pain. And if you're going to be outside, which I hope that you are, hydrate well and use sunscreen when the outdoors. Also wearing proper footwear, comfortable clothing. And again, always make it fun for your kids. And then I throw this in because every physical therapist wants to talk about posture, but our society is grown into tablets, laptops, phones. We're always looking down. Kids are laying in their beds doing their classes and not sitting up at a desk. So encouraging people to have improved posture, sitting up tall, tightening your stomach muscles, getting your shoulder blades back. We call it plumb line posture. So if you dropped a plumb line from the ceiling, your body, your head and shoulders would be upright and vertical so that you're improving your spine posture. So exercise and activity recommendations, how much is enough and what is beneficial? So the CDC encourages 150 minutes of moderate exercise per week or 75 minutes of vigorous exercise per week. And then also trying to do strength training. For kids and teens, 60 minutes of moderate or vigorous exercise, and you can substitute the word activity or play during this because kids running around and playing duck, duck, goose or other activities can count as vigorous exercise. So for all exercises, including aerobic activities, some types of things that are bone and muscle strengthening, balance and flexibility training. And they define vigorous exercise as something that makes you breathe hard and sweat and makes it difficult to talk. So a light mosey isn't going to help you quite as much as something that's going to get your heart rate up and have you breathing a little heavily. So exercise by age range. And some of these pictures, these are my kids. I have a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, almost 18-year-old senior that's graduating. But things that have small children playing, jumping, hopping, skipping, kicking, throwing a ball, even the egg race where you're trying to balance an egg on a spoon and run. Kids love duck, duck, goose. And I think it's fun. We've got an assortment of activities here in the Douglas County area. I was at the rec center today and they had all kinds of small children and their parents running around on the soccer field and playing on the turf. So encouraging that social interaction and that physical mobility with children by play will help them, and you're starting them off on a culture of excellence and a culture of exercise. Then they get a little older. So ages 5 to 11, you can start getting them into some small team sports, things that they're going to have fun at. This is my younger son playing soccer when he was about 4 or 5. Kids can bicycle. You can do Nerf wars and get out there with them. Get a Nerf gun, run around your yard and just play together. Sharks and minnows, steal the bacon, hopscotch. There's all kinds of really fun games that children of that age enjoy. Gets their heart rate up, gets them outside, and gets them away from a screen and up and moving. And that's going to keep them healthier and really build their bonding with you, their bonding with their siblings, and can really grow those children, grow children. By the time you reach 11 to 14, you're going to be getting into more body weight kinds of things. One of the biggest questions that I get asked is, when can we start strength training for children? And that depends on the child, but of course they want to be at the point that they're starting to get more of the hormones and the puberty moving into that. But at a younger age, they can start simulating some of the same strength training just without holding resistance. So doing it with their body weight, or squats, planks, modified push-ups, but you've got to meet your kid where they're at. If your kid wants to start exercising, but they're maybe physically a little bit less strong, or they haven't exercised before, you've got to meet them at a point that they can start and have fun, because you never want a kid to not enjoy it or to feel embarrassed or not to feel confident in what they're doing. So just be encouraging and supportive and start them at a point of something that they can be successful and that they can really feel good about what they're doing. But kids can be hopping and jumping and jumping rope and practicing, balancing along a balance beam, but they can also do team sports or individual sports, and then just having fun on the playground with flag football. And I hope we get back to playgrounds and kids playing. And we live just down the street from Frontier Valley, and I can hear those children laughing and giggling in the past, and I miss that. So I hope we get back to that. Then this is ages 15 or above. These are the ages that they can really start doing more weight training. But again, the bottom line is quality versus quantity. Kids get injured if they're trying to lift more weight than what their body can manage, or they try to go up too quickly and too fast for what their body is physically capable of. So your child needs to be encouraged by you to go slow enough to really meet their body at a point that it can be successful and gradually grow with them. This is my 18-year-old son jumping to get a header for a ball. So at this age, kids are doing higher intensity plyometrics and things that are really preparing them for sport, if that's something that they like, or if they're not really into sports, things like just hiking or being about with their family, playing and being outdoors can be really fun for kids of this age. And this, of course, includes adults. So all of us should be getting up and getting to the gym and getting outside. I will tell you, when I was working on this PowerPoint this weekend and I was typing all these statistics, I said to my son, let's get outside and go for a walk, because I felt bad that I was just sitting there at the computer. So hopefully you feel that too, and that you feel that motivated, that motivation to get out and get moving. So I also encourage you to encourage healthy competition with your kids. Some kids like competition, some kids don't, but there's always a degree of healthy competition that a child can compete against themselves. So we always encouraged a personal best. When my kids were growing up, we would take them to the playground, and one of their favorite games was to come up with an obstacle course. So they would say, okay, you're going to swing 5 times, then you're going to run up the stairs and go down the slide, then you're going to run around the playground equipment 4 times. We're going to see how fast we can do it. So they would come up with the most crazy things they could do on the playground set, and we would time them. And then they would do it 2 or 3 times to see if they could beat their time. It's fun stuff like that that gets kids interested. And I'm hoping that those are things that they'll remember in the years to come. But if you are going to do competition, make sure it's fair. Of course, with kids that are 2 years apart in age, I couldn't have my older son competing with my younger son. It wasn't fair. It would just make my younger son frustrated. So setting some difficulty and balancing things. So your older child has to start a while later from your younger child, or things so that there's a little bit of fairness there. And then reward effort and activity. And kids have different forms of reward. Some kids just want a hug. Some kids want to be rewarded with a fun activity or having a little screen time. Maybe if they've been to the gym or gone for a run or done a bike ride, then they get a little bit of extra time on their screen that night because they've earned it. They've done something that got them up and got them moving. So the bottom line is have fun with your kids. Don't be critical. Try not to be judgmental. Support them at the point that they're at physically, and know that they're going to grow and they're going to change, and we're really impacting them for the future. And as long as you're setting up that culture that exercise isn't fun, exercise is beneficial, getting up and walking and moving and getting out of the chair can help them feel better about themselves, and be happier and have a better outlook on life. You're giving them a gift that will last them for the rest of their lives. So I challenge all of you to get your kids outside, go hiking, enjoy Colorado, and really make a change in their lives. And so my closing thought is movement is medicine. So get up, get outside, and start having some activity. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Really appreciate you sharing with us. Monica, I'd love for you to come on and give us a talk on healthy eating for families.
Okay, so I'm on with my audio. Can everyone see me?
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. My name is Monica Kane. I'm a clinical dietitian. And if you give me just a moment, I am going to share our information on the screen for everyone. Okay, thank you. So family-focused nutrition, I wanted to incorporate a little concept that I like to think of called the fresh approach to eating. And it's a perfect time to get a fresh start. Spring, summer, right around the corner, and just kind of shaking out the cobwebs of the last year. So trying to find that fresh approach to eating through this summer. The fresh approach to eating. So think of it as an acronym: fun, readily accessible, economical, sustainable, and healthy. So the first part of fresh is making everything fun. Eating should be fun. Elizabeth talked great about how exercise, activity, and lifestyle is a family affair, and mealtime is the exact same thing, whether it's mealtime or snack time. So I really encourage the basics of keeping food fun and doing good modeling. So eating at least one meal together. It can't always be 3 meals a day that everyone has the benefit of sitting down together, but setting a goal that at least 3 nights a week, as a family, you come together with all the activities and share that mealtime. And mealtime is not the time for arguments or intense discussions, but keep it light and sit together. Do good role modeling. Don't stand over the counter and eat while your children are sitting and expected to sit still and eat, but just try and really create that concept of a family environment for mealtime. So much happens around the kitchen table. And you get a lot of good learning opportunities, and you get to hear about your children's day. So making that time is really important and crucial and core to good, healthy eating and finding that balance. I always like to say divide and conquer. Being the only one in the kitchen, cooking, preparing, setting out the meal, and cleaning up the meal is absolutely no fun. So with children that are school age, you can definitely get them involved, establish roles and responsibilities. You have the one person that loves to set the table, that can be their role. The one person that loves to, well, maybe they don't love to do the dishes, but they're good at it. That can be their role. And then with kids, as they start to get closer to the 9-10 year age, they can really be helpful in cooking and food prep. So incorporating cooking nights with your family so that at least one night a week, you bring one of your children into the kitchen to get the backstory of how that meal comes together. You're going to teach them valuable life skills that will enable them to sustain themselves nutritionally for years to come. themes, set themes. You don't always have to, but you can do fun little theme nights once a month or once a week if you really are loving that creativity concept. And you can pick foods according to the theme that you set. People can get dressed in characters and whatnot according to the theme. It can really be a lot of fun. Also, since mealtime is supposed to be fun, I think we've all grown up and we've heard the story, you know, there are children starving in other parts of the world and you should eat your plate, clean your plate. And those days of cleaning your plate, we want to try and eliminate the power struggle and the stigma that goes along with the child who's going to be stubborn and not eat his broccoli. So one thing that I like to encourage is to set some reasonable time limits around the mealtime. So 20 minutes is an appropriate amount of time to spend at a meal. 45, not so much. And so if your little child is sitting there poking through the meal and you've noticed you're going on 40 minutes and everyone's pretty much ready to be done, it's very much appropriate to close the meal at that point. And if he has not eaten or she has not finished his meal, he or she have not finished their meal, then to just wrap it up and save it for when they decide that they're hungry later, and you can present it at that point. Also, setting up realistic expectations for what you want them to eat. I definitely encourage when you set out your meal that you offer 2 food items that you know your children will eat and one that you hope that they will eat. And so the goal is, if they don't eat the food that you hope they would eat, you don't even really have to mention it. Some people like to employ the strategy of a no thank you bite. You have to take one no thank you bite, but even that can turn into a power struggle. So you're going to have to find that balance. Every child has a different personality. And not to mention, mealtime's supposed to be fun. So laugh, even if you want to cry. So sometimes the vibe of the meal can get a little off. Children start fighting, bickering. And I have found, rather than being stern, if I crack a little joke or get a little silly with them, they respond quite nicely. Keep foods and snacks readily accessible. So that's the R in fresh. Prepare healthy and accessible snacks in advance. So they're definitely, you definitely want to have that idea that easily accessible snacks are not just dry, crunchy, prepackaged out of the pantry. And so the concept with this is doing prep work where you do some bulk cleaning, washing, rinsing, chopping of healthier snacks such as fruits and vegetables. So if you have carrots, celery sticks, cucumbers already diced up in the refrigerator, that is going to be so much easier to grab and provide as a snack than if you're quickly running out the door, than if you have to take the time to get the produce out, wash it, prep it, and plate it. You can do the same thing with like cheese and whatnot. You can have pre-chopped cheese snacks in the refrigerator that you take some time at the beginning of the week to just divvy up, so that those are quick, easy grab and go refrigerator snacks. Kids love to hit the pantry. So designate healthy snack zones in your pantry and in your refrigerator, but set up some realistic expectations. Like, the pantry door can't keep closing 18 times throughout the day. So perhaps one snack comes from the pantry, one snack comes from the refrigerator produce drawer. So those are good, realistic snack zone expectations there. Designate healthy meal and snack times throughout your day. So again, particularly when kids are bored, they tend to go look for a snack. So it's very appropriate for kids to have snacks in between meals that are healthy and balanced, but you just want to make sure they're not having 3 snacks between lunch and breakfast, 3 snacks between lunch and dinner. So one mid-morning snack, one mid-afternoon snack, and perhaps a bedtime snack, depending on their age. Also, you want to explore economical options. That's the E of fresh. Balance the budget. So when you set a cash amount on what you're going to put towards food, whether at the grocery store or when you're out and about with fast food and whatnot, if you have a set budgeted amount for food allotment, and every family is going to look different depending on the number of kids, the age of the children, how much food the children eat. I know teenagers will eat you out in house to home. But if you have a set budget, you identify that amount, you know what you spend at the grocery store, and then you can give yourself a little buffer for maybe a one time a week dining out or fast food option with your kids, particularly in the summer to keep it fun. You know, you are going to go to the pool, you're going to be out and about doing activities. So being realistic with that, but it's very easy to go over your budget when you're hitting, let's say Chick-fil-A at $30 a pop anytime you want to feed your family. Also, in that economical vein, buy things on sale, buy things in bulk, and then spend some time once a week, maybe on a Sunday afternoon or a Monday morning, divvying up those bulk items into snack bags that you create yourself. And I'll just give an example of how cost effective this can be. It can be time saving because you take care of all the setting up of the snacks one time through the week, but it can also be cost saving. Just as an example, if you buy a 12 pack of 1 ounce animal crackers, like from Target or the grocery store, the little snack sized bags that come in a bulk pack, that's about $4.99 before tax. You get 12 packages, each 1 ounce. That breaks down to 42 cents per 1 ounce bag. If you buy a larger bag of animal crackers, what ends up happening is you get closer to eight 1 ounce servings. So let's just say you buy 2 of those bags at $2.19 each. That's $4, just under $4.40 total. You can make 16 1 ounce snack bags out of that. That's 27 cents per snack bag that you invested. If you buy an even larger bulk amount, 48 ounce plastic bin of animal crackers, they cost about $5.99, right around that ballpark. You can get 48 1 ounce servings out of a bulk pack. That equates to 13 cents, per 1 ounce snack bag. So the way kids snack, you'd be really surprised at how quickly that cost savings can add up. It's almost 30 cents per snack bag. Last but not least, set menus and lists ahead of time and set a designated scheduled shopping day. Make sure the kids are at home so you don't have to drag them along, because when you do bring your kids, you always end up spending more. I can't tell you how many times I've unshopped what they've put in the basket as we're going along. So what I highly recommend is you set your menus, you pull your grocery list, and you try as hard as possible to keep your trips to the grocery store 1 to 2 times per week. So you might have to go a second time to get some more of that produce or fresh meat product. But anytime you walk into a grocery store, it's a minimum $30 that you drop, even if you go in for one thing. And if you go in to do the great big grocery shop at once, it takes a little time. But you do get that one-stop shopping. And then that saves a lot on your pocketbook in the back end by decreasing the amounts of time you walk through that door and make those points of sales that can really add up quickly. And then sustainability, that's the S in fresh. Choose realistic and achievable meal and snack time expectations. So you want to do things, you want to set schedules and routines in your family that you know are realistic. If you are a family that is always on the fly in the evenings due to sporting activities, please, please, please don't set a goal to have 7 dinners a week together, because you're just going to be disappointed. Okay. Designate appropriate meal and snack times and locations. A lot of us have gotten in the habit, with being homebound over the last year, of eating in our rooms, eating at our desks, eating while watching TV. And by and large, Eating really should be done in the kitchen. There's always exceptions, don't get me wrong, sleepovers, fun time with friends, but the rooms, the desks where you do your schoolwork and homework should never be your mealtime, snack time location. Keep meal and snack environments free of screens and cell phones. So if you do just a blanket across the board, whether it be a token cell phone basket that greets everyone as they walk into the kitchen before you sit down to eat, or whether everyone just understands the expectation that screens, cell phones, tablets, as well as TVs that may be on in the background are not a part of your sit down family mealtime together. Consistency, try and keep consistency around eating. It's very helpful to when children know what to expect. And so if children know to expect breakfast before they start their day, versus if sometimes they get a breakfast and sometimes they don't, then that becomes a power struggle or an argument over, well, it's not time to eat. Well, yes, we always eat breakfast before we start our day. And then lastly, the healthy piece of fresh. Build a foundation of healthy eating. We all know these concepts, right? Fresh fruits and vegetables, but sometimes those concepts get a little boring. So step outside the box and explore some of the new produce. So things like pomegranate seeds, that's a fruit that is so delicious, full of potassium, vitamin C, and hydration, really good for sports recovery because of that quick carb, high fluid, high potassium piece of it. But rarely do we cut in and take the time to break apart all those seeds and make them available. It is a little time consuming, but I've never met a kid that doesn't love a pomegranate. So likewise, kiwi, star fruit, those are fruits that some people don't get really involved with. Super good ideas. Just kind of get used to some of those fruits that you're just not as familiar with. You can experiment with dried fruits. They do tend to have a little bit more sugar component to them per volume, but they are good snack options as long as you're brushing your teeth and making sure after you eat sticky dried fruits that your children rinse their mouths. You can also do things like frozen fruits, frozen bananas, frozen grapes. Of course, you never want to give frozen grapes to young children, but you could employ that concept if you did cut them before you froze them. Frozen grapes are kind of a fun little snack, especially in the hot summertime. Also, when it comes to vegetables, some kids like them steamed, some kids like them raw, some kids like them with dip. Just because someone turns their nose up at raw broccoli doesn't mean that they wouldn't love the broccoli if it were steamed, or broccoli in an air fryer. Great way to crisp up the broccoli with a little olive oil, super tasty. Also, lean proteins, animal proteins versus plant proteins. You definitely want to strike a balance when it comes to protein sources. Lots of children love all kinds of proteins. Certain children can't stand eggs. There's always going to be something. But if you can find that balance with your protein sources, lean healthy proteins like chicken, fish, lean red meats, non-fatty cuts of pork, as well as your plant-based sources. Your animal-based source also is going to include an egg, which hard-boiled eggs are a great, easy, convenient snack to have around if you plan and make a few to have in the refrigerator readily accessible throughout the week. Other plant-based proteins that you're going to be getting are going to be your beans and nuts and seeds. Those are all good protein sources that are definitely able to be brought into your mealtime and snack time. Also, there's healthy fats, and a lot of people think, oh, well, low fat is just something you want to worry about when you're older. And that is not true. Low fat is something that you want to incorporate with your children as early as 2 years of age and beyond. Lower fat, reduced fat, skim, part skim, 1% products are going to be a better option. You still get a good balance when it comes to like dairy products. You get good calcium, you get good protein, you just get less calories and less fat. And that equates to greater longevity. There have been instances of children under the age of 10 that have developed non-alcoholic fatty liver due to excessive fat in the diet. We also want to think about hydration. Building a foundation of healthy hydration is very important. So typically for young children, as well as into the teenage years, somewhere around 7 to 10 cups of hydration fluid a day. Those are 8-ounce cups. You can always, kids are pretty good at self-regulating, but if you notice that your child's a little lethargic, it's a hot summer day, you can always perk them up with a little bit of hydration. Limit and avoid the sugary beverages. So I just put some examples of how quickly those sugars can add up in some of those common grab and go beverages that kids love to drink. Roaring Waters, 8 grams of sugar. That's a Capri Sun product that is a little more water-based than a traditional Capri Sun that has 13 grams of sugar. Both pretty high in sugar though. Gatorade, 12 ounces, 23 grams of sugar. You know, kids can chug back more than 12 ounces lickety split. Lemonade, like your Country Time lemonade mix, that's 24 grams of sugar in a 12-ounce glass. And an 8-ounce glass has 27 grams of sugar. And that really, really adds up sugar and calories that are just empty. There's no nutritive value to them whatsoever. What do you substitute those summer sugary beverages with? Well, substitute them with flavors and bubbles. So a lot of people try and avoid artificial sugars. If you're not opposed to incorporating artificial sweeteners into your kids' diet, you can have like the Mayo flavor enhancing drops, Crystal Light, G2. And if you really want to steer clear of those artificial sugars, you can do an emphasis on hydration from seltzers. There's a Waterloo brand that gives you the bubbles with a little bit of natural flavoring without the sugar. You can also do spa water. You can look this up. You can do spa water any old way. But basically it's a water that you infuse on the counter and you add whatever you'd like. So some people put mint and lemon in their spa water. Some people put lemon and cucumber in their spa water. It just gives a nice natural flavor to your water that makes the water taste just a little better. You can also do like spicy herbal iced teas. So you can make it a project like, hey, we've got this great there's a Bengal spice by Celestial Seasonings, and you can make a wonderful sun tea with this spicy Celestial seasoning mix. Pour it over ice. It's a great refreshing sort of drink, and your kids can get involved with a little bit of activity, science project, watching how the sun with your water and your tea creates this delicious beverage. Okay, so I get a lot of questions, and it's always a part of it. What about supplements? Are supplements really necessary? And so one thing I'd like to say is if you can, as much as possible, grab your nutrition from whole foods. But kids are not light switches. We can't turn them on and off, and we can't force feed them. So as much as we wish they would eat the foods that we put on the plate, some kids are very aversive to certain types of foods. So if you find yourself needing to reach for supplements to supplement their needs, definitely make sure that you buy them at a reputable store in a children's focused category. Sprouts is a great example. Vitamin Cottage, they all have children's or teen sections to choose from. So ages 1 through 3, 700 milligrams of calcium daily. Ages 4 to 8, 1000 milligrams, and ages 9 to 18, as you move through teen years, 1300 milligrams of calcium daily. And that's really, really important, particularly with athletes when your bones are going and you're doing a lot of intense, potentially contact sports. Good strong bones, good solid bones, because you've had adequate amounts of calcium, can definitely keep you safe from sports related injuries such as fractures. Dietary sources of your calcium are going to be your low-fat milk, your low-fat yogurts, Parmesan and hard cheeses, beans and collard greens. The plant-based sources of calcium are a little less bioavailable. And then also whey protein powder has a great amount of calcium. So if you like to make smoothies in the morning with some fresh fruit and water, you can mix a little protein powder in there. Not a lot, but a bit of protein powder can give you like a 20, like I believe it's a 1 ounce scoop would give you 20 grams of protein powder and almost 200 milligrams of calcium. And if your child just isn't one that will have those calcium rich sources, you can supplement according to their daily dietary intake. There's lots of available calcium supplements that are perfect for children in the children's vitamin section. Multivitamins and minerals, again, if you have one of those kids that just really loves their fruits and vegetables, you probably don't really need this multivitamin and mineral. But if you have kids that take the no thank you bite of the fruit and vegetable every time you put it on their plate, then a vitamin mineral supplement might be appropriate. Essential fatty acids, I definitely recommend essential fatty acids. The majority of the typical American diet is not heavily based in fish or marine products. And that's where we get those essential fatty acids that are so important for brain health and development. You can get essential fatty acids from food sources such as plants, seeds, and nuts. And the more bioavailable sources are like the DHA or the EPA, and those come from fish and fish oils. The typical American diet is very deficient in essential fatty acids, so I highly recommend that everyone in the family, not just children, partake in essential fatty acids. They have great benefits for skin integrity in this very dry climate that we live in. They have great benefits for overall heart health at a young age, as well as into your older years. Probiotics, you can get probiotics over the counter. You can get probiotics from food. So kombucha, yogurt, kefir, and raw sauerkraut are great examples of probiotics, right? But if those are the types of foods that your child just won't eat, it's very easy to get a pediatric friendly probiotic that's chewable if your children can't quite swallow yet. But kids that can swallow pills, they can take even the grown-up probiotics at that point. Immune support, things like garlic, oregano, and citrus, those I really recommend that you get those from your whole foods. Okay, so garlic is a great preventative health prophylactic. It has powerful antiviral and antibacterial proponents, as well as oregano, and everybody knows citrus from vitamin C really to help boost the immune system. So bringing it all together. One thing that I wanted to just wrap up with is the reality of this. Children that are 2 are going to eat way differently than children that are 18. So just kind of understanding that expectation at mealtime. 3 balanced meals per day for everyone. 3 square meals, let's do it. 2 to 3 snacks per day if you're young, between 2 to 5 years of age. When you're sitting down to eat, having a meal, 2 to 3 items at the meal. If you're having a snack, 1 or 2 items at a snack. What do you do for serving size? You want to be realistic. You don't expect a 2.5-year-old to eat an entire hamburger. So I like to use the rule of thumb of 1 tablespoon serving size per year of age. That's essentially, if you have a 4-year-old child, that's like a 1/4 cup or 4 tablespoons serving size. For age 5 to 11 years, again, the 3 balanced meals, 1 or 2 snacks per day. They don't need quite as many snacks. 1/2 to 1 cup serving sizes of items and 1 to 2 ounces of serving sizes of meats. For a lot of people think, oh, well, kids don't get enough protein. Well, I'd like you to think for every pound that your child weighs, so if you have a 60-pound 8-year-old child, they need about 1/2 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So a 60-pound child would need about 30 grams of protein in a day. And that can add up quickly, particularly when you look at the fact that like an 8-ounce glass of milk has 8 grams of protein. So that's almost it is 1/4, almost 1/3 of what they would need for their daily allotment. So we don't need massive amounts of meat on these kids' plates. 12 to 18 years of age, 3 balanced meals per day, 1 to 2 snacks per day. And at this point, this is where kids start eating a little bit more like adults. So those 1 to 1.5 cup serving sizes and 3 to 5 ounces serving sizes of your meats. Again, you want those items balanced. So you want to see color on that plate. And if you're incorporating those concepts of healthy eating with the fresh approach, you're going to see those lean proteins, you're going to see those heart healthy fats, you're going to see those whole grain carbs and the color from your fruits and vegetables that you're serving your family. One thing that I definitely want to talk about is tips and strategies for your fresh summer eating. Motivate each other, get involved with each other, whether you do your theme nights that we talked about, you can throw categories to your week, such as meatless Mondays or macaroni Mondays or whatever Wednesdays, where you can really get the kids involved and excited about the mealtime. You may want to offer rewards and incentives. Elizabeth talked about healthy competition that, builds us up, doesn't break us down, but healthy competition, my boys love to compete. So if you set a ticket reward system for anyone that eats 100% of their vegetable at mealtime, they can go grab themselves a ticket from the ticket counter. And at the end of the week, they can trade that in for quality time with you, a special activity with a friend, maybe a little additional screen time. So just whatever you think, everyone knows their kids and their family better than the next person. So whatever motivates your kids and your family to eat healthy and find that balance. Again, find that balance. Healthy sleep patterns are very important. Healthy eating and healthy activity, it all comes together. And last but not least, life isn't perfect. So when necessary, reassess and regroup. When life gets in the way, enjoy the detour, but get back on track. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Monica. Now is the time that we will open it up for questions for our presenters. So if you have anything for either Elizabeth or Monica, please use the Q&A function to type in a question. And I guess I'll start off with one. And I guess it's for both of you. What tactics would you suggest for families who say, oh, I'd love for my kids and myself to eat better, to be more active, but I'm just too busy?
I'll start. I think we all are very busy. We live in a society of busy people that work. Our kids are going in many different directions. I do know this year we've been a little less busy with so many things being canceled, but I think it comes with prioritizing and just determining what's important. And usually we've found that if we sit down and look at our schedule, we find there's 10 or 15 minutes here or a half hour there that we can grab to do something activity wise. So you don't have to think about stressing out to need an hour at the gym. Even just getting up and running up and down the stairs a couple times between one call and the next, or going out and, doing a few jumping jacks or some squats. So finding some time just to sort of stick it into your day. And also a lot of families think that the TV time is their family time, and that's fine. But you can pick a couple nights a week instead of doing TV time with a family, or instead of setting things where you're reading in your room or doing some independent time, maybe doing it as a family that a couple times a week you go for a walk and you get outside. So I think it's about being forgiving. It's about understanding that life does get in the way, things get busy, but trying to find that opportunity to stick it in as often as you can, and being intentional, really planning and programming. And when you have vacation time or you have a weekend, don't have your life wrapped all around chores and responsibilities. Unplug a little bit and set yourself some time to just enjoy your family and have fun.
Yep. If I had to chime in on that, I would definitely say the planning piece is key. So the piece of eating is, you can mindlessly eat or you can mindfully eat, but it's hard to mindfully eat if you're not prepared. So making sure you take the time and divvy up the responsibility with your family to ensure that you have the readily accessible healthy foods at your fingertips. If your pantry is full of junk and your refrigerator has no produce in it, you're not going to be able to just open and reach. But if you take the time once a week to make sure you keep that stocked and organized so that those healthy options are readily accessible. So it's really about planning and keeping that momentum going. Winging it works not very well and not very long. So having a plan is the key for good nutrition.
Thank you both. We do have one question from someone. And the question is, what if after 20 minutes your child does not eat the food and then later says they are hungry? Do you offer the same food? Do you save it?
I'd love to answer that. It depends on how hardball you want to be with it. I always recommend offering the food that they did not eat. I know a lot of people have a hard time with that, but children won't starve and they won't go hungry. They will eventually eat. So if they don't want it at the snack time, that's okay. They, close the day and go on to the next day. But you don't need to keep offering them the leftover dinner item for 4 days straight. But you can start each day with a clean slate. But yeah, I think for when you start to cave a little in that, kids know they've got your number. They've got you on their radar. They know how to work it, and they will.
All right. Fresh is best. What is second, canned or frozen?
Oh yes, for sure, frozen. Yep. Without a doubt. You get a lot less sodium in a frozen vegetable compared to a canned vegetable. You get a lot less sugar in a frozen fruit compared to a canned fruit. 100%.
Excellent. Are there any other questions that anyone would like to put forward? And if you happen to think of one, after this presentation, you're certainly welcome to send them my way. My email's on every single email that I've sent you. And I'm happy to forward them on to Monica and Elizabeth. So, I think, Elizabeth, Monica, do you have any kind of closing statements or anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to go ahead.
I was going to put out there, a lot of our teenagers that are growing will be facing the growing pains. I mean, you hear about that. But I would say that some of the growing pains are based on muscle imbalances, posture faults, things that they're maybe not doing correct with their exercises, or because they've been too sedentary or they started to exercise too quickly. Sometimes they're not doing a balance of exercise. So if your kids are having pain, I wouldn't write it off as just being growing pains. See their doctor or come see a physical therapist, because a lot of times we can take care of some of those growing pains that really aren't. They're more because of a musculoskeletal fault or a postural fault or something that they're doing incorrect with their exercise or their sport. So, so often kids, just get told deal with it until you're done growing. And I think that's probably the wrong angle to take. So I encourage you to come see a physical therapist.
I second that. I recently had a child who had knee pain that ended up, we finally paid attention to it, and he just had surgery in February.
Oh.
So yeah, don't ignore those aches and pains. And from a nutrition standpoint, I just want to encourage everyone to enjoy what Colorado has to offer, the beautiful sun and the farmers markets that are coming up and all the good fresh things that are at our fingertips. There's a lot of fun to be had this summer. So make sure you get and take advantage of it.
All right. And I did see a few more questions pop in. I think we have time for them.
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. So Leslie asks, what are some strategies you suggest for getting a teenager to exercise who has no interest?
Well, you often have kids that want to exercise too much, and then you have the other ones that are more couch potato or prefer not to. I think knowing your kid and figuring out what motivational strategies that you can do for them. So I liked the idea of the tickets. there's ways to get kids motivated and to make them feel good about exercising. I think it's about how you present it. And I think it's about modeling. If you're not exercising and you're telling them that they need to exercise, a lot of times you're creating a different standard for yourself than for your kids. So try to get up and make it fun. Don't think about it as this is exercise. Try to present it as let's having an activity. Let's go out and go for a walk outside, or let's go for a hike, or let's try rock climbing today. So there's so many neat things in Douglas County, so many things offered through the rec center. Exercise does not have to be putting on the gym shorts and going to the gym and working out. Exercise can be so many different things, between rock climbing, or like I said, hiking, bicycling, rollerblading, you name it. And usually there's some inexpensive way to do it in this area. So try to find what makes your kids' heart sing, and find a way that makes it fun for them, and don't present it as it has to be exercise. It can just be get moving and have fun.
I might have to do that for myself to get moving. All right, so I think we'll end it here. Before everyone heads out, I do have a nice a favor to ask, basically. So tomorrow you will receive a link to the recording of this webinar and the presentation slides from both Elizabeth and Monica. And since this is an evolving, adapting program, we would love to get your feedback on this experience. And as a thank you gift, if you would like, our partners from Skyridge Medical Center will send you a mini first aid kit right to your door. So that's no contact, no effort. Just head to that bit.ly link or scan that QR code and leave your mailing information. Easy peasy. That's so great. And this is our last DCSD Parent University webinar of the school year. It's been a crazy one. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And with all the other webinars, we'll be starting a new series in the fall. I hope to see you then. And other than that, enjoy your summer and enjoy the rest of this beautiful evening.
Thank you.
Thanks,
We'll see you later.
Have a good night.